The sky cracked open with purple lightning. Explosions shook the ground as the alien forces of the Solvari Empire dropped from their warships like falling stars. It wasn't a war Earth started, but now they had no choice. They had to fight. Back, Captain Jalen Brooks crouched behind a burning transport truck, holding his rifle tight. Smoke filled the air. Screams echoed. He had trained for battles, but not for this. Giant lizard-like aliens, 8 feet tall with blade arms and armored skin, were charging the last defense line near the outpost of Valora 7. Suddenly a scream, high-pitched and desperate, cut through the chaos. Jalen turned sharply. A Solvari soldier, a female, with deep violet skin and long silver braids, was crawling on the ground, blood leaking from her thigh. One of her legs was nearly torn off. But something about her expression didn't look like the usual Solvari rage. It looked terrified. A blast from above hit the ground near her. Dust and debris flew. Without thinking, Jalen rushed out of cover, grabbed the alien woman and pulled her behind a broken hull wall. The alien girl hissed in pain, clutching her leg. Why? She gasped in broken English. Why save Solvari? Enemy? Jalen didn't answer. He tore a strip of fabric from his sleeve and started wrapping her wound. You're bleeding out. Enemy or not, no one deserves to die like that. She stared at him. Wide, glowing eyes filled with shock. You're eating kind. You eat females. I saw records. Jalen stopped wrapping the wound, his eyebrows furrowed. What? Human males eat their own females. After bonding. After mating. Her voice shook with fear. We watched the clips. It was brutal, screaming, licking, biting, then silence. Jalen blinked. It took him a second. Then it hit him. They had seen human romance films, horror movies, passionate scenes, completely misunderstood. He almost laughed. Almost. That's not what it means, Jalen muttered, now gently lifting her head. It's not what you think. But before he could explain, a sudden roar made him twist around. 3 Solvari warriors had spotted them. One of them raised his blade arm, clearly furious. A traitor helping the enemy? Jalen stood up fast. You. Stay down, he whispered to her. The alien girl tried to reach for her own weapon, but her hand trembled too much. One Solvari warrior charged. Jalen fired, clean shot to the chest. The second one ducked and leapt toward him. Jalen dropped his rifle and pulled out his knife. They struggled. Jalen's strength barely matched the alien's, but he used leverage, slamming the blade into the Solvari's neck. The third warrior hesitated, looked at the wounded girl, then turned and ran. Jalen breathed heavily, his hands trembling. He turned back to her. Still think I eat women? The alien girl looked at the 2 dead Solvari, then at him, her voice shaking. You kill your own kind to protect me. I'm not killing my kind, he said. I'm saving someone who needed help. More ships flew overhead. The war was far from over. He grabbed her shoulder. What's your name? She hesitated. Elira. All right, Elira. We're getting out of here. You're coming with me. She tried to move, but winced. You'll eat me later? Jalen stared at her. No, I'll keep you alive, so maybe, just maybe, you'll see what humans really are. Elira's gaze didn't move from his face even as the ground rumbled again. Somewhere deep inside, the war wasn't the only thing changing. Something else had just begun. Jalen tightened the straps of his backpack and adjusted the weight of Elira, who leaned on his side with one arm over his shoulder. Her leg was still bleeding, but the bandage was holding for now. The war zone behind them was collapsing. Explosions boomed across the battlefield, the Solvari retreating, the humans pushing. No one noticed the strange sight. A human soldier, carrying a wounded alien girl through the smoke. Elira limped along, her sharp nails gripping his jacket tightly. You're not afraid of me? She asked weakly. Jalen glanced sideways. You tried to kill my people a few hours ago. Maybe I should be. Then, why save me? Because you didn't deserve to die like that. That's not what we are. Elira's brows furrowed. You keep saying that, but what are you really? They entered a ruined tunnel, once a transport route between Earth outposts. Now it was half collapsed and filled with rubble. We're human, Jalen said as they passed under metal beams and blinking emergency lights. Complicated, stubborn, sometimes stupid, but not monsters. She was quiet for a moment. But I saw videos, men tearing clothing from women then, sounds, mouths, biting. He paused and turned to face her. You're talking about romance, or intimacy. That's not violence, that's not harm. Elira tilted her head, confused. Intimacy, like sharing warmth before sleep? He nearly smiled. Sort of, but more emotional. Physical, too. It's how we show love or desire, and no one gets hurt, at least not if the male is decent. The word love echoed strangely in her mind. Solvari didn't have that concept the way humans did. They had loyalty, they had purpose, but love? No, especially not between male and female. Jalen gently helped her sit beside a broken wall. Rest here, I'll check the path ahead. As he stepped forward, Elira reached out. Wait, if others find us, what will you do? He looked at her seriously. I'll protect you, even if it means being called a traitor. He didn't say that last part out loud. The tunnel continued ahead into shadow. Jalen moved silently, his flashlight cutting through the dust. Just as he turned the corner, movement, a human patrol. 3 soldiers. Jalen froze. Brooks, one of them called out. We thought you were dead. You okay? Jalen forced a nod. Yeah, barely made it out. Got wounded. Anyone else with you? He hesitated. They were good men, fellow soldiers, but he had Elira, and they'd shoot her on sight. No, Jalen lied. Just me. They motioned him forward. Evac's near. Commander said to sweep for survivors. Come with us. I will. Just give me a minute to catch my breath. I'm still dizzy. The others nodded and walked ahead. Jalen rushed back to Elira. We need to move. Now. She blinked. Humans? He nodded. They won't understand. I told them I was alone. Her voice was almost a whisper. You lie. For me? He helped her up. I'll lie, I'll fight, I'll bleed until you're safe. Her heart thudded strangely in her chest, not out of fear, but something unfamiliar. Jalen led her down a side tunnel, deeper into the ruins. The way forward would be dangerous. But, for the first time, Elira wasn't thinking about dying. She was thinking about him, and wondering why that thought scared her more than war. The emergency tunnel was cold and damp. Faint lights flickered along the ceiling, barely illuminating the cracked walls and exposed wires. Jalen moved ahead with quiet steps, holding his rifle close. Elira limped behind him, trying not to make noise. Every sound echoed. Every step felt like it might be the last. Jalen whispered. We'll find an old med station up ahead. You can rest properly there. Might even find painkillers or a stim shot. Elira nodded, her skin paler than before. She leaned heavily against the wall. This bonding you mentioned, is it always painful for the female? He turned around, confused. What? In those scenes, she explained slowly, the human male presses over the female. She cries out. Is that pain? Jalen sighed and crouched beside her. No, that's pleasure. It just sounds like pain to outsiders. Her silver eyes searched his face for signs of deception. And it doesn't end in death? He shook his head. Only in bad horror movies. She fell quiet again. The Solvari had no such behavior. Their mating was cold, clinical. Assigned partners, no passion, no emotion. Just duty. A sharp noise echoed behind them. Footsteps. Not one. Many. Jalen's face went hard. Move. They slipped into a narrow maintenance shaft just as a squad of Solvari soldiers stormed past the tunnel junction. Elira recognized the colors on their armor. They're from my clan, She gripped his sleeve. They'll think I betrayed them. He glanced at her. Did you? Her hand slowly let go. I don't know anymore. They crawled through the shaft until they reached a sealed door. Jalen forced it open using an old access panel. Dust poured out. Inside was a tiny room, broken chairs, shattered glass, and an old medical locker. He helped Elira lie down gently. We'll rest here tonight. You need sleep. I can't, she whispered. I fear I'll wake up eaten. He rolled his eyes but smiled. You're safe, I promise. After some searching, he found a stim shot and injected it into her thigh. Her body relaxed, her breathing steadied. Slowly, she fell asleep. Jalen watched her for a while. She was alien, she was the enemy, but she was also just a girl. Wounded, lost, confused, and somewhere deep inside he felt a strange need to protect her, even from her own kind. Meanwhile, back at Human Command. Where's Brooks? Barked Commander Rena. He told us he needed a minute and disappeared, replied. One of the patrol soldiers, damn it, Rena growled. You think he's dead? Or hiding something? A different voice cut in, cold and bitter. Check the surveillance logs. If he's hiding, I'll find him. It was Agent Malrick, Earth Intelligence, and he never trusted anyone who came, back from behind enemy lines, alone. Back in the medical room, Elira stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. She reached for Jalen's hand. You humans are strange, she said quietly. You don't kill for dominance, you kiss. He blinked, caught off guard. Where did you learn about kissing? She raised her brows. We study human culture. Most Selvari find it disgusting. I find it interesting. She leaned in a little, then hesitated. May I see how it feels? Jalen froze. Her eyes were half-lidded, not out of lust, but curiosity. He leaned in slowly. Just before their lips touched, an explosion rocked the hallway outside. The door burst open, and standing there were both sides, human scouts and Selvari hunters. And now Jalen and Elira were caught in the middle. Smoke and dust filled the room as the blast echoed away. Jalen's body moved before thought. He grabbed Elira, rolled behind the overturned med cabinet, and pulled his rifle tight. His heart pounded. From the shattered doorway, Boot stormed in, two directions. One side, human soldiers. The other, Selvari warriors. Their eyes met in the center of the room. Then they all saw it. A human soldier shielding a wounded alien girl. Brooks? Shouted Sergeant Lane, stunned. What the hell is this? The Selvari commander barked something in their native tongue, his blade arms twitching in rage. She is traitor. Give her to us, human, and we'll let you leave alive. Elira tried to stand, but Jalen gently held her down. She's not going anywhere, Jalen said calmly, weapon raised. She's under my protection. You're outnumbered, Sergeant Lane warned. Don't do anything stupid, Captain. Too late for that, Jalen muttered, never lowering his rifle. The Selvari stepped forward. She betrayed her blood. You think she won't betray you too? She hasn't, Jalen growled. Not once. The tension was thick. No one fired, but everyone wanted to. Then Elira stood. Her legs trembled, but she stood tall between both sides. I am Selvari, but I am not a weapon anymore. This human saved my life. He showed me something no Selvari ever has. Mercy. She turned to her commander. If you want me back, you'll have to kill me. Gasps. Even the humans were surprised. Jalen slowly stepped forward to stand beside her. And if you try, I'll return the favor. The standoff grew unbearable. Then, gunfire, but not from either side. Something hit the ceiling. Sparks flew. A third party, Jalen shouted, Cover! An unknown alien species dropped through the ceiling vents, tall, shadowy figures with glowing blue tech and clawed hands. They weren't Selvari. They weren't human. They were something else. Elira's voice trembled. That's not possible. They're extinct. Apparently not, Jalen muttered. blasting one down with a burst from his rifle. Both human and Sulvari soldiers were caught off guard. Suddenly, all sides had a common enemy. The strange creatures moved fast, claws slicing, blue energy whipping through the air. Jalen grabbed Elira and dove behind cover again. "You okay?" She nodded weakly. "Who are they?" "No idea, but they're not here to negotiate." Around them, chaos reigned. But something strange happened. Human soldiers started fighting back, alongside the Sulvari. Enemies just seconds ago, now dodging bullets together. Elira looked up at Jalen. "Is this what you meant by complicated?" He grinned. "You're catching on." As they fought side by side, something shifted between them. Not just survival, not just temporary alliance, but the beginning of something deeper. Laser bolts flew in every direction as Jalen and Elira ducked behind the broken med cabinet. The ceiling trembled. Those unknown creatures, tall, armored, and ghost-like, moved fast and deadly. One of them dropped from the ceiling and slashed a Sulvari soldier in half before disappearing in a blur of motion. Jalen gritted his teeth. "We can't stay here, they'll corner us." Elira's breathing was heavy. Why would they attack now? The ancient record said they were wiped out, eons ago. Maybe they were just waiting for us to destroy each other first. Jalen muttered grimly. He peeked over the rubble. One of the blue-armored attackers spotted him and hissed, eyes glowing. It raised a blade. But before it could strike, a Sulvari plasma bolt tore through its side. Jalen turned and saw the Sulvari commander nod silently to him, then turn and cover another angle. Humans and Sulvari weren't allies yet. But they were no longer enemies for this moment. Jalen looked at Elira. "Can you move?" She winced but nodded. "Not fast, but I can hold a weapon." He handed her a spare blaster. "Just don't shoot me." "I'm starting to trust you, human," she said quietly. "Even if you do eat females after mating," Jalen groaned. "We're going to need to talk about that later." They dashed from cover and ran down a side corridor. Walls sparked. Bodies lay broken on the floor. Human, Sulvari, and those things. Elira paused at one alien corpse and knelt beside it. "I know this species," she whispered. "They were called the Zevrak. Ancient, silent, fed on psychic energy. They targeted couples, bonded minds. It was ritualistic." Jalen blinked. "Wait, they attacked bonded pairs?" Elira nodded. "It's why my people feared romance. Affection. They believed love made us targets. And now they're back," Jalen said slowly. "Just as we started working together." Elira met his eyes. "Maybe they smell the change." They reached a secure blast door. Jalen slammed the access pad. Come on." The door opened. Inside was a hidden evac station, dusty, unused but intact. Jalen locked the door behind them. The sudden silence was deafening. They both leaned back against the wall, breathing hard. Jalen looked at her. "You okay?" "I will be," she said softly, brushing her hair behind her pointed ear. "Are you?" He paused. "I should be scared, but I'm not." Elira looked down at her clawed hands. "All my life I believed human males were savage. But you carry me, fight for me, protect me. Why?" He stepped closer. "Because I don't see a Sulvari anymore," Jalen said, voice low. "I see you." A long pause. Then, quietly, Elira asked, "Is this the part where you eat me?" He burst out laughing. She blinked, confused. "No," Jalen said between laughs. "This is the part where I kiss you." She looked stunned. "Like in your mating rituals?" He nodded. "But only if you want it." Elira hesitated. "And I won't die?" He leaned in gently, lips barely brushing hers. "Only from embarrassment." Their lips met. Just a moment. And, in that fragile moment, the war, outside and inside, stopped. But then, a loud, echoing knock hit the blast door. They both turned toward the sound. The Zevrak had found them, and this time, they weren't alone. Boom. The blast door shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. Elira gripped her blaster tighter. Her earlier confusion about kisses, love, and human customs was gone, replaced by pure survival instinct. Jalen stared at the door. That thing isn't going to hold for long. Another boom. This time it buckled slightly in the middle. They're tracking us, Elira said. The Zevrak can smell emotional bonds if they think we're... She paused, her cheeks darkening to a deep violet hue. Connected. Jalen blinked. So wait, you're saying they want us because they think we're falling for each other? Yes, she shouted. That's what makes us targets. Affection, emotion, even the possibility of bonding draws them. Jalen raised an eyebrow. And now they think we're a couple because of one little kiss? Elira frowned. It was not little. Another massive crack. The blast door's upper hinge gave way, and something with claws reached through the hole, gripping, pulling, screeching. Jalen ran to the emergency console. There's a secondary route behind the storage crates, a tunnel leading to the abandoned tram line. They pushed the crates aside and found a narrow tunnel just big enough for one person at a time. Jalen helped Elira in first. As she crawled forward, she muttered, "This is humiliating. My tail's stuck." Jalen tried not to laugh as he nudged it. Alien dignity can wait. Just as he climbed in behind her, the door behind them exploded inward. Zevrak poured into the room, snarling and sniffing the air. But they were already gone. 15 minutes later, they emerged onto a cold, dark tram platform. Broken lights flickered. A single abandoned tram sat on rusted rails. Elira dropped to the floor, exhausted. Jalen sat beside her. So they really hunt feelings? Yes, she whispered. Your kind doesn't realize how dangerous love is in this galaxy. It's rare. It's powerful. That's why the Zevrak feed on it. He looked over at her. Then why are you still with me? Why not run? She turned her head, eyes soft. Because if I die, I'd rather die with the one who showed me a better way to live. Silence settled between them, deep and warm, until a flickering light above the tram flashed. Green. The emergency tram system just rebooted, Jalen said. We might have a way out. He helped Elira into the tram and scanned the route map. If this works, we'll be outside the combat zone in under 10 minutes. She leaned against the seat. What happens then? I turn you in, he joked. She blinked. I'm kidding. Another pause. Actually, he said seriously, I don't know. Earth Command thinks you're dangerous. The Solvari think you're a traitor. The Zevrak want to suck out our feelings with straws. She giggled softly, her first real laugh. Then maybe we run, both of us. He looked at her, and for once, he didn't have a plan. All he knew was he didn't want to let her go. Suddenly, a beeping alert blared from the tram console. Uh-oh, Jalen muttered. What? They've locked remote access. Someone's hijacked the tram line. Elira stood. Who? Jalen stared at the blinking screen. And the words, Hello, Captain Brooks. Surrender the alien or prepare for extraction. Earth Command had found them, and they weren't coming to rescue him. The tram lights turned red. The emergency brakes locked with a hiss. The entire cabin jerked, stopping in the middle of the dark tunnel. The message on the console blinked. This is Earth Command. You are harboring a hostile. Exit the vehicle with your hands visible. Do not resist. Jalen stood frozen, reading the words. Elira rose behind him, her tail twitching in tension. They tracked you. You told them I was gone. They think you've gone rogue. He slowly turned to face her. They don't think I've gone rogue. I have. Outside, through the tram's dusty glass window, shadows moved. Human silhouettes with rifles, boots crunching gravel, lasers powered up with low hums. Elira touched his arm gently. You should go, surrender, tell them I forced you, I'll stay. No, you'll be court-martialed. I don't care. I do, she whispered fiercely. Jalen, if you die now, everything you taught me about kindness, mercy, Love, it disappears. He cupped her face gently. And if I abandon you, I'm not the man you believed in. A loudspeaker blared from outside. Captain Brooks, final warning. Exit the tram. Hands up. Do not protect the Solvari. He exhaled slowly. Then his mind clicked into action. We're not giving up. Not to them. Not to anyone. He sprinted to the tram's rear control panel and started hot-wiring it. Elira blinked. What are you doing? Manual. Override. The old trams weren't built with full AI locks. If I bypass the brake and reroute power, we can launch this thing down the emergency line. It'll be fast. And dangerous. The tram shook again. They were running out of time. Elira grabbed a chair and jammed it against the rear door as makeshift reinforcement. You are the craziest human I've ever met, he grinned. You've only met one. A red bolt blasted through the tram window, barely missing Elira's shoulder. Jalen slammed the override switch. The tram engine whirred. Clank. Clank. The emergency locks lifted. The tram roared forward. Gunshots rained down, but it was too late. They were already speeding away into the dark tunnel. The lights outside blurred past. The tracks rattled. Elira grabbed Jalen's arm to steady herself. He looked down at her. You okay? I think I'm falling for you, she said softly. He blinked. Now? While we're being chased by our own people? It seemed like the right time. He laughed, but there was sadness in it too. They'll keep coming, Elira. Earth Command, your people, the Zevrak. They all want us for something, but none of them want us to just be. She looked up at him. Then let's make our own place. The tram burst into open daylight, out of the tunnel and onto an abandoned ridge above a shattered battlefield. Smoke, silence, and scattered wreckage. They had escaped. For now. But they were fugitives from two empires. And worst of all, the Zevrak were still hunting. The tram finally screeched to a halt near the edge of a dead city, its towers broken, its skies a dull gray. Long ago, this place had been a colony. Now, it was a forgotten ruin. Jalen helped Elira step out of the tram. The wind was cold. It smelled like ash and silence. We'll rest here, he said, scanning the area. At least until the next wave of trouble finds us. Elira nodded, clutching the blaster close. How long before they track us again? 2, soon, he muttered. But maybe, just maybe, we can find something useful before they do. They entered a half-collapsed building labeled Xeratech Research in faded letters. Inside, broken terminals lined the walls, and shattered glass crunched under their boots. Elira spotted an ancient server core still humming faintly in the back. I've seen this before, she whispered. Xeratech did interspecies mind research. They were working on emotional mapping technology. Emotional mapping? Jalen asked. Yes, a way to read, store, and analyze love, fear, even guilt from across species. The Solvari banned it. Humans shut it down, but the data may still be here. They hacked into the dusty terminal, and what they found shocked them both. Files, thousands, videos, test logs, names, coordinates, Zevrak images, and worse, logs showing joint experiments, funded by both Solvari and Human Intelligence divisions. Elira gasped. They bred the Zevrak back. They were never extinct. They were imprisoned, studied, weaponized. Jalen clenched his fists. They used them like psychic bombs. Drop one into a population, let it feed on emotion, and watch alliances crumble from the inside. Elira's hands trembled. But why release them now? A final video played. A human general. Cold eyes. A Solvari official beside him. The human-Solvari war has united our people far too fast. Bonds form. Soldiers defect. Mixed families are starting. Unacceptable. Deploy the Zevrak to destabilize emotional cohesion. Let fear destroy trust. Jalen looked at Elira. They're not hunting us because we're in love. They're hunting us because we're proof. That love works. Elira stepped back, her voice cracking. They'd rather see us both dead than let that truth spread. Jalen nodded. That's why they're after us. That's why they won't stop. Outside, the sky darkened unnaturally. Elira stepped to the window. They're here. Across the horizon, a wave of glowing figures approached. Zevrak, dozens of them sliding across the earth like silent ghosts. Jalen powered up his rifle. We're done running. Elira stood beside him. Then we fight. No, Jalen said. She looked at him. He touched her cheek gently. We bond. We make them feel what they fear the most. The Zevrak feed on weak, confused emotion, but they choke on the real thing: love, loyalty, conviction. Together, Jalen and Elira stepped outside, hands joined, no more hiding, just fire in their hearts and war in their eyes. The wind howled across the shattered city as the Zevrak army approached. They moved silently, like shadows peeled from the void. Dozens of tall, pale creatures with glowing mouths and eyes that pulsed in rhythm with approaching fear. Elira's heart pounded, not from panic, from clarity, from purpose. Jalen stood beside her, rifle lowered, not raised. He wasn't afraid either. He'd already made his choice. We can't kill them the usual way, he said. But if the reports were right, strong emotional bonds can disrupt their psychic field. It makes them unstable. Elira nodded. And if we're strong enough, they'll collapse. The Zevrak hissed and spread out, forming a circle, surrounding them. They're testing us, Elira whispered, trying to feed off uncertainty. Jalen looked into her eyes. Then let's show them we're not uncertain. He reached out slowly and took her hand. A Zevrak screeched as the emotional wave hit. Then he stepped even closer and pressed his forehead gently to hers. You said love was dangerous, he whispered. Let's make it deadly. Their connection flared to life. In Elira's mind, centuries of Sylvari emotional suppression cracked and melted. Warmth flooded her soul, terrifying and beautiful. In Jalen's heart, every moment of doubt vanished. This wasn't just survival. It was belief. And then, the Zevrak attacked. They lunged forward, but the instant they crossed the emotional radius, Jalen and Elira unknowingly created. They screamed. One collapsed. Another burst into flickering particles, fading like a dying star. Jalen's grip tightened. It's working. Elira raised her free hand, channeling her energy. Then let's break them. The Zevrak swarmed. But one by one they fell, shattered by an emotion they could not process. The stronger the bond between human and alien, the deadlier it became to these emotion-feeding monsters. But it wasn't just the two of them anymore. From the ruins, scattered survivors stepped out. A Sylvari scout, holding a wounded human medics, and a mixed patrol of Earth and Sylvari soldiers, who'd abandoned the war when they saw the truth. One by one, more bonds formed, and one by one the Zevrak howled in agony. Their perfect weapon, fear, was being overpowered by something ancient and unstoppable. Connection, choice, love. The last of the Zevrak fell to its knees, screeched once more, and vanished, into light. Silence followed, just wind and victory. Elira collapsed against Jalen, exhausted. He caught her gently. She smiled up at him, her voice hoarse. So, this is what kissing leads to? He laughed. Apparently alien genocide. She laughed too, weak but warm. I think I'm in love, she said. You think? I'm Sylvari. We're cautious. He kissed her forehead. You're also the bravest soul I've ever met. All around them, the world changed. The war that had started with blood and misunderstanding had just been cracked open by something deeper. But Earth Command and the Sylvari High Council wouldn't be happy, because now the truth was out. The ruins were quiet now. No Zevrak, no gunfire, just silence, and the distant hum of approaching dropships. Jalen held Elira in his arms as the other survivors gathered around them, human and Sylvari, wounded but standing together. Their eyes carried the same message. Something has changed. Forever. The dropships landed with precision. Earth Command soldiers poured out on one side, weapons drawn. Solvari enforcers on the other. It was no longer a battlefield, it was a courtroom. From the human ranks, Commander Rena stepped forward. From the Solvari, High Matron Sishka emerged, Elira's own aunt. You disobeyed direct orders, Rena said coldly, eyes fixed on Jalen. You harbored an enemy. Lied to command. You'll be stripped of rank and— He saved me, a Solvari soldier interrupted, limping forward. He didn't betray us. He protected all of us. Then another voice. A human medic. He didn't just save her. He showed us what the war was hiding. Matron Sishka's eyes narrowed at Elira. You disgraced our bloodline. Elira stepped forward, standing tall despite her wounds. No, I redeemed it. You taught us to hide emotion, to fear love. But that fear made us weak. The Zevrak fed on it. We nearly died because of it. She looked at both sides. Jalen and I didn't fall in love because we were enemies. We fell in love because we chose not to be. Whispers rippled through both groups. Some soldiers lowered their weapons. Commander Rena remained cold. This isn't about love. This is about military protocol. Jalen finally spoke. Then your protocol is broken, because the enemy isn't each other. It's whoever sent the Zevrak to make sure we stayed enemies. He walked up to Rena and dropped his rifle at her feet. Arrest me, court-martial me, do whatever you want. But know this, if you keep feeding the war, you'll only raise more monsters. Silence. Then behind him, more rifles dropped, one after another. Solvari. Humans. They stood together, not as rebels, but as something new, as proof that peace was possible. Weeks later, a quiet cabin on a green hill, far from the ruins of war. Elira sat on the porch, watching the stars. Her violet skin shimmered softly in the moonlight. Jalen stepped out behind her, wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, and sat beside her. So, he said, what's the official word? They're calling it a ceasefire, she said with a soft smile. But some call it a miracle, he smirked. Some still think I eat my mates. She laughed. Well, to be fair, you kinda do. He nearly choked. That's not what I— Okay, never mind. They laughed together, their fingers intertwined. Two species once locked in war. Now, lovers, survivors, leaders of something. New Elira leaned against him. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't saved me that day? Yeah, he said. The world might have stayed the same. She smiled. And now? He looked at her, eyes filled with something fierce and unshakable. Now, they're rewriting the stories. Not about how humans eat their mates. She raised a brow, but how we risked everything for them.